Good morning, everybody. This is Miss Strom, and I want to give you the notes for today. Before I do that, I have a couple of announcements. On Tuesday, you will have your quiz over inverse functions, composition of functions, and then absolute value and reflections. So it'll look like two sections from the homework, and then composition of functions we've done for warm-ups, and you had an in-class worksheet where we covered this. I'll be available at lunch on Monday if you have any questions. Okay, let's get started. So this is for angled terms. So in the front of your book, if you just want to list it as angled terms, and then put your page number. All right, we're going to define three words. The first word is standard position. So standard position. You want to set up your Cornell notes and leave room at the bottom for a summary. At any time, if you need to write, press pause, but make sure you're listening to my voice. So standard position looks like this. So you want to make sure that you get this drawing. The angle comes from the origin and goes out. And we're not calling the axes X and Y axis anymore. Now we're calling them U and V. And I can explain more about that when I get back. You just need to know that we're not doing, functions on this axis, and we're not creating shapes. We're thinking about this for angles. So we kind of think of the origin as the center of a circle, and we have angles coming out of it. And we're calling angles this Greek letter named theta. So if you look over here, theta is just the angle measurement in degrees. So you want to get that down. Again, press pause, write it down, and then press play again. Okay, standard position is this, right here. The angle begins at the positive u-axis. We also usually call that the x-axis, and it rotates counterclockwise. So counterclockwise goes in this direction. So the opposite of the way a clock goes. And you'll see that from the green arrow right here. So that's showing you the rotation. So for that angle, we're measuring this angle right here. The positive u-axis, that's this one. And this is called the terminal side right there. Okay. Our next word is coterminal angle. So the definition for coterminal angle is right here. So we've got two angles with the same ending point, but different measures. So I've drawn this graph, and I've labeled the quadrants. We have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. And first you have the green theta, which is the angle in standard position. So it's this one right here going around. And we called that over here 135. So we tried to make it halfway between the vertical axis and the U negative axis. So a coterminal angle is going to have that red mark. So it's going to be this terminal side, but it's going to have a different number. So the first thing is my one in black. So with the one in black, I continued to go around. So watch where the blue marker goes. So I went around and did one lap, and then I did another. So what I did over here was I really went 135 degrees, and then I went a full lap, or 360. So that angle, the same one, could also be called 495 degrees. The last thing is going backwards. So when you go, instead of counterclockwise, if you go clockwise like this, this is the negative direction. So when you think about the negative direction, how far did we move just going from here to there? Well, that's a straight line, so we went 180 degrees. And then we added this much, which is 45 degrees. So one way I could figure that out is negative 180 plus negative 45. And I'm going to get negative 225. The other way to see that is right here, where we took 135 degrees and we subtracted 360, because our original one was 135 degrees, and the space we have left is 360 minus that. And I know my answer has to be negative because of the direction that I went. So those are three angles that all focus on this terminal side, but have a different measure. And that's number 3. The last one is our reference angle, and we're going to talk about reference angles a lot. So think about the definition. So the definition is the positive acute angle between the u-axis, or the x-axis, and the angle's ending position. So when we're talking about the positive acute angle, we're talking about a small angle that has to be positive, and it also has to be this axis. So it can never be with the v-axis or the vertical axis. So for this example, I went this way 135 and I asked for the reference angle. So again, the positive acute angle between this axis and the ending position. So it's got to be this angle right in here. So if you think about this whole thing as 35, and this whole straight line is 180, I just took 180, I took away the 135 of the standard position angle, and I got 45 degrees. So if this angle is not positive, or if it's not acute, meaning if it's bigger than 90 degrees, something's wrong. And that's it. That's our 3 vocabulary words. Make sure that these are in your notebook.